are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York girl. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it is the New York Knicks podcast, episode 645. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing well. I think last show was one of our more negative episodes, despite this amazing season and everything. Just very negative with like the injuries and so forth. And I think we should try to do. That was a pretty negative episode. I think we should go for the all-time most negative episode right before the playoffs, just because. I mean, like basically like the day before the playoffs start. Because when we go negative, this Knicks team goes positive.
Yeah, it was a completely opposite week from the week before. So the Knicks got a couple wins. Everybody except Randall is now back and healthy and playing. So this is what the playoff roster is going to look like. It looks like Tibbs is going back down to an 8-man rotation. How do you feel about that?
Yes, I think required by law to sit Burks. Yeah, I think the Supreme Court stepped in and said you cannot play Burks anymore. It's just inhumane for all of us that see Burks on the court.
But Precious is out too.
Precious may be out also. I can see Precious being used in more limited, well, obviously a more limited role.
Situational, depending on matchup.
Yeah, he's more matchup dependent. Centers get in foul trouble. Burks is situational dependent also, meaning like 7 guys on the roster have died, and then Burks will get in the rotation.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing Burks.
Yeah, I do not think we'll be seeing Burks as a Knick on the court again.
I think Bogdanovich is going to be on a very short leash. He had a very good game 2 games ago, and then last game he started off a little slow, and that was the last we saw of him. So he seems like he's on a very short leash.
It's also like I feel like Tibbs on it. Like, I know we talk about the fact that he doesn't play everyone crazy minutes and so forth. Playoff Tibbs really gives him a green light to play guys in major minutes. Certain guys in this team have shown that like it's fine to play them major minutes, like Hart and Brunson, and really McBride also. Really meaning like the rotation is going to be tight, and now that Tibbs has basically the green light to not play guys, he's not going to play guys.
I mean,
guys
every
with shorter leashes, it makes sense.
Every team does that. Like,
right, you're not saving a guy for like, you're not like, it's a long season. It's, we have a few more games potentially for the whole season. Let's everyone just go all in.
I mean, the Bucks played Giannis a lot of minutes, and that worked out fine, right?
Giannis is now injured. Not a major injury, but he's out for the rest of the season, only like 3 games. As they want him getting ready for the playoffs. I have a question.
The thing is, that was the same injury that Durant had, and then when they put him back in for the playoffs, he tore his Achilles. So, not great.
Not ideal.
Yeah.
By the way, just because you mentioned Durant, I want to congratulate the Phoenix Suns.
Mm-hmm.
They were one of the top teams in the West, and they went all in and got Kevin Durant, and then got Beal. And congratulations, you guys are going to be in the play-in. Wonderful job. Hopefully you guys can be a perennial play-in team with this roster going forward.
It's all right. It's not like Beal's making $50 million a year going forward.
Well, it's going to be tough even in the future when it's just going to be Durant and Beal after Booker goes to the Knicks. Okay. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I saw this Nick Nation posted this. And question to you.
Okay.
Who are you rooting for tonight? The Bucks or the Magic?
So there's some crazy scenario. A lot of different things have to happen. The Knicks could play the Pacers in the first round and the Magic in the second round, which obviously is the ideal path.
That would be a Magic scenario.
But a lot of different things have to happen for that to happen. I'm more of the opinion, just get the second seed, have home court until the conference finals, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I'm looking at this like So fairly confident. Not even fairly confident. The Knicks are 2.5 up on the 7th seed. They pretty much are a lock for not being in the play-in, which is obviously you want to avoid that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, like, I guess obviously you kind of want to avoid the Celtics for the second round, but not the biggest of deals if you don't. I guess the question is, if the Bucks win, the Knicks get it helps the Knicks secure the 3rd seed. But if Magic win, the Knicks have a better shot at the 2 seed. And then, here's the thing: if you're the 2 seed, there's a decent chance you play the Sixers or the Heat first round.
Yeah, that's
probably
not...
the Sixers. That's a tough first round matchup.
Yeah, that's not ideal at all.
So I would rather the Bucks win tonight because I feel like the Knicks are better off being in the 3 seed.
Yeah, I mean,
well, then again, I guess the Sixers could jump the Pacers also, so it's like all bunched together right now.
I know. It's the Sixers are only a game behind the Pacers, so they could jump to 6, and then you're playing them anyway. Just let the pieces fall where they may.
I mean, there's nothing. I guess like Orlando be a fine first round matchup. Cleveland, obviously, we'd love to play Cleveland. Pacers, I feel like of the 3 of those, which is the toughest first round matchup? The Magic, the Cavs, or the Pacers?
I would say probably the Cavs. Even though I think the Knicks have their number, though. I don't think the Knicks match up as well.
I think our centers eat them alive.
It's definitely not the Pacers.
You think the Pacers are the hardest?
No, the Pacers the easiest.
Okay, the Pacers are the easiest. You really think the Cavs are the toughest?
I think they have the most talent. I think as far as matchups against the Knicks, maybe Orlando's tougher.
Yeah, if I had to rank these, I mean, I think Cleveland is my preferred team because I do think we're in their head. I think we match up really well against them. We're a problem for them.
You would prefer Cleveland over the Pacers?
Yeah.
Really?
Do you remember last year when we beat the shit out of them?
I do.
And we have a better team now?
I do, but the Pacers are just the worst team.
I mean, it says what? The records are almost the same.
I don't know. I look at the rosters and I'm just not worried at all about the Pacers.
So what worries me about the Pacers is their offense is, I mean, they have a great offense. They can get really hot in offense, hotter than the Magic or the Cavs can as a team. And so I worry you'll just lose games to them because their offense gets insanely hot. I mean, they're all like, I'm all fine with all these matchups in the first round. The Magic, I feel like, are very beatable. If I had to rank my preference, I would do Cleveland first, then the Magic, then the Pacers. I'm not dying to play the Pacers first round. I'm not scared of them, but I am. I mean, the team I'd like not to play first round is the Sixers.
Yeah.
And the Heat, obviously, as well. Those 2 teams, I do not. I think that would be a really shitty first round matchup.
Yeah. I mean, there's a scenario where the Knicks have to play Philly, then Milwaukee, then Boston, and that would suck.
You know what's going to be great about the first round series? The Knicks play the Sixers. All they'll say on the broadcast and all the and during the broadcast they'll be like, yeah, Brunson, he can't be foul hunting here. He cannot be foul. While the refs blow whistles before the Knicks even get close to Embiid.
Yeah,
they're like, he was within 5 feet of Embiid. Go to the line, Embiid.
I'm also looking forward to a second round series with the Bucks, and maybe Giannis is out, and they keep saying the shorthanded Bucks while ignoring the fact that Randall's out.
Yeah, the Knicks will not get any credit for being shorthanded. Any other team would. The Knicks doesn't. Like the Knicks, when the Knicks were missing OG, Randall, Mitch, they still wouldn't call them the shorthanded team.
I know. We're going to play Boston in the conference finals. They're going to be down just Horford, and they're going to be like the shorthanded Celtics.
This is a tough thing for the Celtics. They almost have no shot as they're missing. I think Scalabrini's also out. I'm having him retired a couple of years ago. Yeah. So, but I just want to avoid the Sixers. And you're right. The thing with the Sixers, there's no clear way to avoid them either, because like win or lose, it really depends on what they do as well.
Yeah.
Because they have Embiid back, and Embiid's playing well, so they probably will. There's a decent chance they might overtake the Pacers.
So by the time we record again, we'll know who we're playing. And the episode after that, it'll be playoff talk. I mean, season went pretty fast. There's a couple small Knicks related things. The Ringer came out with their top 50 player list again.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize they re-ranked them right before the playoffs.
They re-ranked them like once a month, I think. They've done it a few times.
Okay.
So where would you say Randall is?
Well, I wouldn't think he'd be on the top 50 list just because he's out for the season. But was that not regarded, like the fact that he's out for the season?
Right. That's just like who the best players this season were. Yeah.
Okay, so then he's an all-star. He had a great season until he went out. All-star usually puts you top 24 players. I'm going to say the Ringer had a couple people jump him. It's like 27th.
Not even close. They have him at 44th.
44th. Okay, well, he made the All-Star team, had a great season. All-Star for 2 years in a row, 3 of the last 4 years.
So apparently he's not as good as White or Barnes or Siakam.
Barnes?
Yeah, Siakam.
What
Barnes.
has Scotty done? I don't understand that. And also his team just loses games.
Siakam. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Siakam's just awesome. Yeah. I mean, like, wow, how much better are the Pacers?
Yeah. So anyway, Brunson, where do you think Brunson ranks?
So Brunson, I was going to ask you about this also, about like where you think he is as far as all NBA and MVP conversation. I have to say they will probably rank him 10th.
A little lower, but not bad. They have him at 13th.
Okay. I mean, you have the list. Well, like, tell me who's ahead of him. I'll tell you any ones that are, I guess, are any ridiculous ones ahead of him?
No, I wouldn't say ridiculous. I mean, he's ahead of Edwards, so he's in like good company.
I'm surprised they put like Edwards having a great year. Also, I'm surprised they put him ahead of Edwards.
He's one spot below LeBron.
Okay, I mean that's fair. Okay, whatever.
So the top 11: Booker, AD, KD, Curry, Tatum, Kawhi, Embiid, SGA, Giannis, Luka, Jokic.
Okay. I mean, I guess there's more. I mean, Booker's not having an amazing year, but like, I guess track record goes with it also.
Yeah, I mean, I would have him above LeBron at this point, is just based on impact on the team.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you. So, where do you, if you had to rank your top 5 for MVP right now, and I have Brunson in the top 5, what's your ranking? Like, who's the MVP for you, and what's the rest of the top 5?
MVP is still probably Jokic. I think I would have Brunson at 2. And again, it's not the best player award. It's the most valuable player. And this Knicks team is probably not even in the play-in without Brunson.
I mean, they might make the play-in without him, but maybe.
I mean,
maybe not. Actually, you're right.
It's a huge fall off. I mean, the problem with all these like super team things, like some people have AD and LeBron both ahead, but like, how can you have 2 MVP candidates on the same team? Like,
right? How valuable can you be if the other guy on your team is just as valuable?
And you're a 9th,
or just not just as valuable as is also like top. Like you're right. It's really the valuable part kind of falls off if you have 2 guys on the same team. Like one guy could be super valuable, but like
right,
if he wasn't there, the other guy's also picking up the slack.
Yeah, it diminishes your value. Like when LeBron teamed up with Wade and Bosh, it's like, well, if one of them's out, they're still a playoff team. So how valuable can you be to your team if you're still a playoff team without you?
I mean, to be fair, so the Hawks have 36 wins. They're the 10th team in the East. I think if you remove Brunson from this team, they might get 36 wins also. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if you're keeping like OG on the team, like, team's pretty good still.
Team's pretty good. It's just, even when Brunson sits during games, you just there's a noticeable difference. Like they have
on-off numbers are crazy.
They have
Brunson
trouble scoring. It's a big difference. So I would probably have him second. Probably Luka, Giannis, and Embiid, rounding out the top five.
Well, Embiid can't be because you missed too many games.
I don't care.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not valuable to your team if you're a bitch and you miss tons of games.
I mean, I just seeing their fall off when he was out. Like, if you're saying I can't have him on there, I would say then probably Curry, because he's had like no help this season.
Okay, so I would take so not in an order, but like the guys I put up there, I'd put Edwards up there. Did you say Edwards?
I did not have Edwards.
Okay, well they're missing Towns, and the team is like has the number 1 seed, so he's the best offensive player on the team.
Yeah, yeah, but
I
like
put Jokic up
they
I
still
put Jokic up there. Sorry, what were you gonna say about Edwards?
No, I guess that's fair. Like they have a good roster, but not like.
I feel like it's hard, so I feel like you have to kind of still put Edwards up there. Jokic, obviously, and I guess like there's a pretty good argument for Jokic winning the MVP again. I mean, he's so valuable to that team. I put SJ up there. I think OKC has been a monster this year, and I know they have other really good players, but like I feel like SCJ is their best player. I do, to a certain extent, like the team has to be a top team to have the MVP.
They do.
I know, like
I also try and picture the team without them and how good they would be without that player.
Yeah, I think SG. So I mean, you could say that like Donovan Mitchell can get like a bunch of. I mean, the Cavaliers are bad apparently without Donovan Mitchell. Like when he doesn't play, they don't seem to win games.
Fair.
So anyway, I'd put Edwards, Jokic, SGA. I get the argument for Luka, but I wouldn't put him on there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Without Luka, obviously, like he's a huge amount of that guy on that team. I put Brunson up there. I have trouble not picking a guy from the Celtics, but the Celtics are so damn good. I mean, you can make the argument that the Celtics could be really great without Tatum, but I think your team wins 62 games. You're up 14 games on the second seed. You get an MVP, at least MVP votes. So I put Tatum up there.
That's fair.
And if I had to order them, I would lean towards SGA, but that really more is about like not giving the award again to Jokic. But I guess Jokic, SGA, Brunson, Edwards, Tatum, or Tatum Edwards.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't have Tatum just because the Celtics are so stacked.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess I can't hold it against the guy either for being on a stacked team. I just don't. I agree with your notion that you can't have 2 MVPs in the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Lakers are the 9th seed, so how the hell can you put like LeBron and AD? I mean, wow, 2 MVPs and you guys are in the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
And then All NBA. Where do you have? I think are they going positionless without the All NBA, which I think is insane.
They are, but I'm not gonna go by that.
Do you do 3 forwards and 2 guards, or do you do 2 forwards, a center? You do the center position, or do you not count the center position?
No, just 3 forwards and 2 guards.
I think this is all ridiculous. I think it should be 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center. I think a center should be on All NBA. Like I don't care. Like the NBA's positionless. Screw it. I think a center, like most teams have a center.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I like how like centers are out of fashion, so we're not going to have a center on the NBA team, but the guy who's going to win the MVP every year is a center.
Right.
And the runner-up will also be a center, but we can't have a center.
Right.
Okay, so All NBA. Do you think they should do All NBA East and West, or they should have one?
No, just one.
Okay. So
I
where
mean,
do you?
there's 3
All
teams,
NBA.
so like that's 15 players. It's pretty much like.
Okay. Where do you have? Does Brunson make first team, second team, third team? Where do you have him?
Second team.
Yeah, I think second team. Is it crazy how like I mean it's not even crazy. It is crazy that a year and a half ago people were like, well, did the Knicks overpay for this backup point guard? And now we're like, which All NBA team will he make? Where is he in the MVP conversation?
Right. Yeah, it's pretty insane.
I mean, has there been a player that has like, I guess Harden was coming off the bench. That's the only thing comparable.
Yeah.
Who else made this big of a change from like one role? And I mean, obviously Harden was really good, and then Brunson showed some amazing flashes at times on Dallas. But has anyone made this? Like, who else has made this leap from one team to the next?
Jermaine O'Neal when he went to Indiana, going back like 15 years now.
I know, but Jermaine, in fairness, yeah. So he got a lot better, but he also wasn't like dominating the league.
He was a multiple-time All-Star, and he was like the 9th man on Portland.
Yeah, I part of it because he was like so young and like
That
came to
Portland
his
team
own.
was stacked. I don't know how they didn't go further. Like they had like Stacey Augmon was really good, and he was like their 15th man. Just like
I mean, that's a solid. I mean, also, in fairness, he was like a high draft pick. Like you thought he still had breakout potential, and I guess Harden obviously like we knew he was going to be good, and Brunson was like I feel like Brunson's the most shocking.
mm-hmm.
I can't remember a more shocking guy to break out from one team to the other. And when we talked about Brunson when the Knicks got him, we were thinking maybe he'd average like 17 points a game, like maybe he's like 6 assists. We thought he'd be like the best point guard the Knicks have had in years because the Knicks have been like a desert for point guards, but nothing like this.
Yeah.
If I had told you, like if I had like if when Knicks got Brunson, I said to you, this dude's gonna like put up tons of 40-point games. He's gonna be like 4th in the league in scoring. He's gonna be in the MVP conversation. You would have said, "Okay, Mark, I guess you've fallen off. Like you lost your mind."
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
we have some questions.
real quick, Randall had surgery, and it was a successful surgery.
Cool.
So I mean,
I figured he already had the surgery for last show.
no, he didn't. He had it yesterday, I believe. So
Okay.
at least it was a successful surgery, so he'll be around probably beginning of next season. So if the Knicks make a deep run, they're going to be adding all-star, all-NBA player to this roster.
Yes. I have some ideas for the offseason, but we could wait till there's an offseason. But most of my ideas involve drafting players, getting Randall back, and sending Burks to Siberia.
And yeah, Patrick said, and people still try to call him overrated or a foul merchant, which we talked about the foul merchant thing last week, which is just absolutely insane. But this week, did you hear what Stephen A. said?
What did Stephen A. say, Jay?
Did you hear it?
I did, just to
Okay.
say it for the audience.
Yeah. So he was talking about the Knicks bench, and he said he was looking at Grimes and Ihart. Grimes, who isn't even on the team, and Ihart, who has started 46 games. So he's clearly just doesn't even follow the team.
You know, it's like obviously he's paid a ton of money, and like at some point was a real. It's just funny, you clearly when you hear him go on about stuff and like Knicks have to get a star, he just says talking points and like you could tell he just doesn't like he's not following the team that closely. Whereas like Simmons obviously is not a Knick fan. But you hear him talk about things, you know he's watching tons of the Celtics games at the very least, and he watches the Knicks games. You can tell he really watches these teams.
Yeah.
I find it really annoying hearing comment, and obviously a lot of other people do also. I just feel like when you hear guys that like are major presence in the media, and you're like, they don't goddamn watch the games. That's why their takes are so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why ESPN is hiring Jay to be their new commentator. Jay's going to be opposite Stephen A, and he'll be debating Stephen every week. Stephen A will just shout at Jay, and Jay will leave crying every episode. Any other Knicks notes?
No, that's all I got.
Okay. Kenny Cobra writes, Kenny Smith was wrong. What did Kenny Smith say?
Kenny Smith said when teams play the Knicks never have the best guy on the court.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yeah. What is? I guess when maybe like 6 teams play the Knicks, the Knicks don't have the best guy on the court.
Yeah.
LJ Sampson writes, is Randall a trade bait this offseason?
I don't think so. He's still got a pretty reasonable contract.
I mean, the Knicks are close to having to give Brunson and Randall extensions. They probably will extend Brunson this offseason and wait till the following year for Randall because of his injury.
Well, that and because of you got to pay Ihart. You got to stagger the contracts, or they're going to go over the cap and be in trouble.
Yeah, you have to keep. So, I guess last night's Bulls game, at the end of the I forget the name of the commentator, but like 2 minutes ago in the game, he just talks about how the Knicks won't be able to re-sign Ihart while his team is losing. Like,
I heard that.
why are you talking this trash about the Knicks? Your team is losing. And your job is not to talk about free agency.
Right. Well, that's just
I thought it
wishful
was weird.
thinking because he doesn't want to. I mean, you don't want to see the Knicks like bring this entire roster back and add an all-star.
Yeah, it's also like I mean, I guess if you're rooting for the Bulls and you're like, our team doubled down on a center that can't play defense in Vucevic, maybe you're just jealous of other teams that have two centers that can play defense.
Yeah.
I think Randall's trade value will be hindered by the injury. And I just don't know how you're replacing him. I don't know how you're improving the team by getting rid of Randall.
You're not.
There was I think it's some show they talked about. I was listening to some podcast that would the Knicks try to trade everyone's always in love with getting Towns on the team. So would they do Randall for Towns and obviously some kind of package deal? Would that make any sense?
No, it wouldn't. Although it did come out today that the new ownership wants to shed salary for the Timberwolves.
They're in first place, and that's what they're saying.
Yeah, it's like, what are you guys doing? Like, go over the cap for a little bit if you could win a championship.
I mean, our Knicks owner, whatever you want to say about him, whatever New York Knicks great, he bans from the arena, whatever embarrassing crap he does, he will spend the goddamn money, which I appreciate. Thank you, James Dolan.
Patrick said a preview of Jay and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Kylo Quinn is a great bench player. Jay, he hasn't been on the team for 5 years. Stephen A. Haha, I see you, Jay. Pretty much.
See you, Jay. Nick Nader writes, is Tom Thibodeau a Coach of the Year candidate? And there's a picture of he commented on above a picture of a fan wearing a Thibodeau jersey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Knicks were decimated by injuries, and they still might finish second. That's definitely Coach of the Year.
I mean, I would say like top 5 Coach of the Year candidates. Not remembering every coach's name, but OKC gets votes. Celtics get votes. Knicks get votes. Doc Rivers definitely does not get votes.
He does not. Timberwolves.
That's a good enough list. The 4 of them. And I think it probably goes to the OKC coach.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they made a huge jump this year, but the Knicks, I think Tibbs should be second, maybe.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Hey Doc, we have a really good team. Do you think you could like, just crash the car? Yep, got it. Give me the keys. I can't believe how bad the Bucks have been under Doc Rivers.
I know.
Josh Button writes, where will you be for the championship parade?
I mean, we'd have to go to it, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, so we'll be there.
I mean, I will. Well, my son will be there with us. And we will be like there 5 hours early.
Yeah.
Got to go to that. Are we? So are we going to watch a Knick playoff game from a bar?
Yeah. It's, once the schedule comes out, we'll figure it out.
I looked at the tickets. I'm like, okay, they look expensive.
Yeah.
I'm still. Yeah. Why can't it just be a normal? Why can't it be like, hey, Knicks playoff tickets are like $100, just because we love you fans.
It's like $800 for nosebleeds. It's gross.
King De La Hose writes, how about not talking about future stars that are never coming and Leon will never, ever hire? How about not talking about... Well, we don't have to talk about future stars. I did reference Booker, but I think the Knicks, they've got their team now. I love this team for next year. We have our superstar. I think we just need to add to the bench.
I don't even know if we need to add to the bench when Randall's back.
Yeah, but you know what? Guys get injured. Of course, I don't know that you need... Like, the rotation is going to be shorter for the playoffs, but for a long regular season, I think the bench needs to be deeper. Having to rely on a guy like Alec Burks is just criminal, basically, for this team next year.
Yeah. Well, they got two draft picks, so
there are too many dead spots in this run. And I guess part of it was like making trades, but there are too many dead spots in this roster. I mean, like Charlie Brown, Toppin's brother. Like, it's one thing if you have young players, you're like, I'm developing these guys. Are the Knicks developing Charlie Brown?
Well, that's where the 2 draft picks are going to be. They're going to be in
Yeah,
those
I
spots.
completely agree. Yeah, I'm just saying the Knicks have a bunch of guys. They have like 4 guys on the roster right now who are not being developed. They're just like there for like because league rules dictate these guys have to be on the team.
Yeah. No, they'll
We
have
have to
2 draft
fill this
picks
roster
and,
spot.
and like some vet minimum signing.
Do
That'll be
I mean, do
enough.
they have a second round pick this year also?
I don't think I don't know.
Okay. Well, at least they have 2 firsts. They might have a second. Also, there's a Nick that's playing in Europe that apparently wants to be in the NBA next year. Who's coming to summer? Who's supposed to come in the summer league? The point guard. What's his name?
Oh, he's actually going to come?
The last thing I saw was that he's going to come to summer league, and he may want to be in the NBA next year.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Adrian says, trade Mitch. He does not fit with this team. I love him, but we're moving in a different direction.
We're moving in a different direction from having 48 minutes of center coverage.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean,
I think Mitch has not looked as good since he's come back, and I think people are like a little more down on Mitch. He was phenomenal before he went out.
well, he missed months. Like, let's give him a few games to get back in shape.
Yeah, and
It was
you're
a lower
also-
body injury, too. It's not like he was able to keep up on cardio.
Right. He just doesn't look quite as good, but like, and I know he's not quite as good on offense as Ihart, but like, what's your alternative? You're gonna have Ihart and Precious be your backup center? That doesn't make sense. Sims is not close. I think you really want. I don't know. I think this is also like you're building a team around what works well for Tibbs, and having 48 minutes of rim protection makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best offensive rebounder in the league. It's a
Yeah.
good piece to have. And his contract isn't crazy.
His contract's not crazy. He comes out like there's no relief for the other team. Like, I think it makes a ton of sense to have ball. And also, like, if Ihart's in foul trouble one game, your backup is just as good, basically, or almost as good.
Yeah.
And Brady Schaefer writes, where do we stand in the rankings if injuries were never an issue?
I mean, clear second.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks are 1 game behind second, and they lost all those. I mean, like, yeah, clear second. I think I asked last show. I'll ask you again because I asked on Twitter today, or X, or whatever the hell. The Knicks don't make any trades, any moves. Barrett, IQ still on the team. Where are we in the rankings?
Playing.
Yeah, I think the Knicks were like 1 or 2 games over 500 at the time of the trade. I think the Knicks are maybe the 8th. The 8th seed, the Heat are like 9 games over. Chances are the Knicks will be the 9th seed, or maybe the 8th seed. I guess
They were
Probably
only
the 8th
3
seed.
games out of the play-in. They went 12-2 in January. A 9-5 month is a decent month, which is still better than they were playing at the time. And so even if they went 9-5, they're in the play-in.
Yeah, they're just
So,
a play. I mean, they're obviously
yeah.
not going to be worse than a playing team. But different trajectory. And Frank writes, Tibbs has to be coach of the year. Christian writes, prioritizing rest or seeding in these last few regular season games. So the last 3 games, the Knicks play the Bulls, they play the Celtics, and they play the Nets. The Celtics are tomorrow night, then Nets, then Bulls. How are you thinking about these last 3 games, Jay?
I think the team has been so riddled with injuries that you need to play these last 3 games to get some chemistry together because they haven't played a ton of games with OG and with Mitch. So I say go for it. It looks like the Celtics are going to sit everybody tomorrow.
Oh,
So
is that already been like said?
everybody's questionable. So they're
Okay.
already like setting the stage for like we're going to sit everybody the rest of the season. So
You know what's be funny is that the Knicks are like, well, they've locked in their seeding, and just the last game against the Bulls, we're not sure why Brunson's playing 45 minutes tonight.
right. Yeah, so I mean I just say go for it. Get 50 wins and see what happens.
I would love the last game against the Bulls. I mean, I like. Obviously, 50 wins doesn't matter if the Knicks are locked in on their seeding. Like, let's say they're the 3rd seed or the 2nd seed, and nothing's going to change in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
I assume like the last game you rest everyone, you don't go for the 50th win.
Right.
So in the last game, it'd be hilarious for the last game if you just saw like 40 minutes of Jacob Toppin and Charlie Brown.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Just like we're going all in the guys that don't play. Like we're just making sure no one else gets injured.
Yeah.
And the little J movie writes the recent contributions that Bogdanovich has had. He's looking better lately.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying it for a while. He's not as bad as he's looked. Like, I think it's just new team, new system. He's not always gonna be great, but he's gonna have more good games than bad.
He's not as bad as he's looked. He's not as good as we'd hope. He's somewhere in between.
Yeah. And that's all we
yeah.
need him to be.
As far as BFAR19 writes, as far as seeding goes, who do we want in the play in the first round?
I still want
talk about
Pacers.
that. And
yeah.
Dylan Verrata writes, how would the Knicks match up against the Pacers if that's round one?
Bloodbath.
It would be great if they just swept the Pacers and then Knicks, and like there's a certain Obi stands are like, man, how good would the Knicks be if they still had Obi?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty easy series.
So some Dallas Mavericks fans have on Twitter, I hate calling it X, have been talking
call
about
it Twitter,
how,
that's fine.
whatever. They've been talking about how, wow, I mean, the Mavericks they really had to let Brunson go because like they wouldn't have gotten Kyrie, and Kyrie is just like, we're so much better with Kyrie than having Brunson. What do you think about that, Jay?
But Brunson's better than Kyrie and healthier.
I mean, Kyrie's an amazingly gifted offensive player. I'd take Brunson 10 out of 10 times over him.
Yeah. That's just silly.
Neither one plays a ton of defense. Brunson is a better defender, and just you don't know how long before the Kyrie car just veers off the cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else, Jay?
So we are NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, and nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. We do have an email from Pat. Says a reason not to be dejected. Found your show a few years ago and look forward to it every week.
Awesome.
Thank you both for putting in and putting out a great show. I really appreciate the measured takes. And he sent us a song that his friend and him made. The band's name is Forgotten Martyrs, and it's about Jalen Brunson. So when we end the show, I will play the song as our outro song.
That makes a lot of sense. I thought you were going to play it while we sit here and then review it. I bet it's an awesome song, and it should be the end of the show. Yeah. Makes sense.
He said at least OG is coming back. He sent this 6 days ago, which is right before OG did come back. I'd argue he's more important to getting out of the second round than having Randall. Still a bummer about Randall, but the contract issues come into play after next season, right? Should be good to run it back with better results. Yeah, the Knicks don't have to worry about it this season, so they can run the whole team back.
By the way, OG played 35 minutes against the Bulls last night. Great sign. He looked great, and like it's a great sign that he's just ready to go. On a non-Knicks note, did you? I'm sure you saw this. The Bucks, they beat the Celtics last night. The Celtics had 0 foul calls.
What do you mean?
I mean, there was not a single foul. The Celtics did not go to the free throw line the entire game.
That seems a little wild.
Yeah, I know we complain about the refs. The Knicks get screwed by the refs a lot. I don't know how much the Celtics were even complaining about this, but like people were like, "What? How does?" You're saying the Bucks didn't foul them once the entire game? Is that what you're saying?
Is that an NBA first?
I don't know if they didn't foul, but they didn't go to the line.
Is that an NBA first?
I don't know if it's the first, but
I would think it would be a first.
I saw some reference to it. And I was like, that can't be right. I had to check the box score immediately. I was like, they shot 0 free throws. How is that possible?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had to check too. That's crazy.
So next 3, Celtics, Nets, Bulls. We ready on the table for 50 wins?
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like we probably will. Seems like I feel like the last game against the Bulls will probably still matter for seeding purposes. Knicks will get the 2nd seed, and they'll play Philly first round because
that is life as a Knicks fan.
Yeah, but I think they could beat Philly. I'm not dying to play them, but we could beat Philly also because one thing I mentioned on Twitter this week. Remember a couple of years ago the Knicks were horrendous, and they had a player named Noah Vonleh, and a certain segment of Knicks fans started calling Noah Vonleh the Giannis stopper. They were claiming that Giannis only put up mediocre all-star numbers against the Knicks when Vonleh covered him. So he was the Giannis stopper.
Yes, Giannis averaged like 26 points a game, but when Vonleh was covering him, he averaged 24. So completely shut him down.
The Knicks fans we were off our rockers, but I thought of that as I watched highlight. I mean, I watched the game, but then watching highlights later also of OG covering Giannis the other night, and Giannis literally getting shut down by OG, and I'd be like, oh, this is what it's like to have a guy who actually shuts down shuts down Giannis.
Yeah, yeah.
Like every time Giannis went down the court, like OG's like, nope, I'll take that ball back from you.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
That was awesome. Okay.
All right, so thanks for listening. If you're in the live room, we're going to take a 2-minute break, and then we are going to do our comedy podcast called The Brink of Sanity, so you can stay tuned for that. In the meantime, let's play this Jalen Brunson song, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
I want to hear this.
He's a star. He's a star. Jalen Brunson is a top 20 player in the league. I know that.
Jalen Brunson, he's a man. Nice off the dribble from three-point land. That's all we've had since Stocks and Pat. Down, try to Knicks fans are down with that. Go, Jalen, go. Watch him score. 50 in a game and he's ready for more. You hope you hear the song and it makes you win. I feel like Jalen Brunson is a personal friend.
Awesome. Thank you for sending that. Appreciate it.
That was awesome. I loved it.
All right, so stay tuned, and we'll be back in a few minutes.